This is my book review on the novel The Song of Solomon by Toni Morrison. So to start off, I really enjoyed the book. I think it is a really good read. If there's anyone that hasn't read it, I would definitely recommend this book to people who are interested in African American culture or just want to read a new novel by someone who shapes history significantly, like Toni Morrison has. Something that I liked about the book is that Morrison includes these very intricate backstories to the characters, and she gives them names that help shape that backstory to the characters, and it makes for a really good story. It makes for a really good read because it provides so much more depth in the story than simple names would. Another thing that I enjoyed about the story is that it's very relatable if you understand what's actually happening in the book. Like for when Milkman is going on this journey to find out more about his family history and the things that like his family's been through, it's very relatable because like a lot of people don't know about their great grandparents and like what happened to them, especially if they were slaves or children of slaves. So the book is very relatable in that aspect. What I did not enjoy much about the book is some of the relationships in the book weren't necessary. I felt like having the main character be romantically involved with his cousin wasn't necessarily needed. I feel like that aspect could have been portrayed a lot differently, and just there could have been other relationships created that would allowed for the main character to still make the same decisions that he made, just not with his cousin. Another thing I didn't like is that like when the main character tried to end the relationship with his cousin, that Toni Morrison had, the cousin tried to kill off the main character. She had Hagar try to like repeatedly attempt to kill Milkman, which I felt that like it was an attempt to kill off a character, but I also think that that aspect worked really well in the book because it just kind of shows how like even though the communities are always supposed to stick together and families are always supposed to be together, how easy it is for someone to get upset and just like take out their anger on the person that they blame. I would recommend this book to anyone that's never read it before. I think that it's a good book. I think that Toni Morrison does a really good job explaining, some of the big problems in African American culture, and I think that the book rightfully so earned the name of like her breakout book. The book it breaks down a lot of the issues, and it talks about a lot of controversial topics such like the race and then family structure, and how just things that most authors wouldn't write about, and I think that it's a good thing. Something else that I enjoyed about the book is the fact that like how it ended. I liked that Morrison left it up to like the reader to decide how the book ended, because like basically it ends with the main character going after the man who killed his cousin, and I liked that she leaves the story for us to decide, and that really speaks onto people's personal character, because people who favor African Americans, not necessarily favor African Americans, people who favor, the good guy are going to say that the main character lives and that, he is able to avenge his aunt's death, whereas some people will say that he died a hero, trying to avenge her death. So it's really more up to just like this book relates to Toni Morrison's other books very, very closely. There's still the issue of personal identity the issue of race acceptance, and then the issue of just like not necessarily segregation, but discrimination, so to speak. In the Song of Solomon, there is this group called the 7 Days, and whenever an African American is killed by white people or Caucasians, this group goes out and they kill just a random person off the street. They just pick a random white person and they kill them. And they say that it avenges, the death, which I think that is extremely morally unjust, but that is one of the defining factors of most of Toni Morrison's book. Race is an issue in every single one of the books that she's written. And like The Bluest Eye, the main character, she just wants to be, she doesn't think that she's beautiful because she is black, so she thinks that if she has blue eyes, she'll be more beautiful. And so race, that it relates closely with race, it relates with personal identity in the same way that it relates to race in all the other books. The way that it's different from all the other books is that it's more, it can be considered more religious than her other books. It still defies what most people would write about, and it still goes against pretty much the social norms when it comes to literature, but it is still very much so a very good book, and it's still very much so like a book that deserves to be talked about. And it does still cover a lot of topics that are still controversial even in the 21st century, and how far we've come since the book was written.